Humanity has literally years left unless we cool the planet in time. The good news is we have the tools to cool the planet in time. When we say in time, how much time do we mean? Months. And the best news of all is that we can implement marine cloud brightening within the time that we have and actually cool the planet and achieve that, half, if you will, of saving life on Earth. Anyway, with that as a brief intro, and there's more to say about that, but I'm just going to shift gears to this 6.5-minute video where I'm just going to let James speak for himself. There's some dude who's like talking with his mouth full at the beginning of the video, so just ignore that as best you can. One. Okay, block party number 91 continued. James, you were laying out a really good synopsis. Please carry on.
Yeah, I'm just saying like that. If we could get each of them to agree to, they'd know. As we said, we did know what the overall reason for the meeting is, basically, anyway. And we'd start off with Guy first, giving an overall picture of what Habitat is about, and it's what it depends on. And then secondly, we give Professor Wadhams, and he gives an overall picture on the Arctic and the situation with the Arctic at the moment, because he's the primary, foremost the leader on it, in the thought of it. Anyway, third would be Professor Jim Massa, who would then give an overall talk on oceans and what the effects of the melting Arctic will do to the oceans. Fourth would be Paul Beckwith, who would give an overall picture of the global effects of that. Fifth would be John Doyle, giving an overall picture of both global hot bulb temperatures and the minor things we should be thinking, and not the things that questions we need to be asking ourselves about society and community. Sixth would be Professor Yetow then would come in and say like that we have the Mirror Reflection program, and seven would be Peter Salter coming in saying we also have the MCB program, and eight then would be Kevin Hester giving an overall picture on the state of the Barrier Reef, because he just gave out information in that video stating that even though we're in a La Nina at the moment, they're expecting the Great Barrier Reef to have a massive bleaching this summer, and they're already in their early summer now. So they reckon by the end of their summer this year, that they're going to lose half the Great Barrier Reef, and we're in an El Nina, not we're in a La Nina, not an El Nino. So like that's just a signal, as well as the Arctic, how bad the situation is. Jim Massa also gives a situation on the release of the methane in the Arctic, in the Siberian Arctic as well. They're just puncturing holes in the ice now, and it's coming out under pressure like gas, just hissing out through the ground. So things are starting to liven up, and we need to really liven up to get ahead of it. So also then you have Professor Rupert Reed then will give an overall picture on what he considered the failing of COP26 and politicians in itself and the fossil fuel industries, and that the industries in capitalism is no longer the way to go. We need to get to communities standard cooperation, because that's where we're all going to be leveled to very shortly if we don't get our act together. It's only going to come down to what communities can do for each other, because we'll already have lost the capability of doing something global. But if we actually act on what these professionals are telling us the situation is, and the two viable solutions that are non-evasive and controllable and affordable, you know what I mean? They might buy us the time to act on all the other problems that we need to deal with, you know what I mean? To keep the system going as best we can, or try to reverse the damage we've done. But we have to do something, because the alternative, as these people are saying in their videos, and they're the professionals, and they're the only ones willing now to speak out in public and tell us, we have only literally within a decade to survive. Not to do something about it, to survive. So if we're lucky, if we're really lucky, with 10 years is what they're saying. So it's act or do. It's do something. No, pull your heads out of the sand and do something, or we're all facing the same fate, so to speak. So I believe that if we can get them in, give them basically, tell them that the idea of the meeting really, first and foremost, is to lay down the cards on the table for people to be honest, or to be honestly see what's before them, so that they have the right to choose as well, the correct path for themselves, like, and for their families and for their communities. Because, I mean, ultimately, as John Doyle did say in the other meeting, like, this is going to come down to community cooperation for the good of all. And secondly, the idea of the meeting is in the spirit of cooperation then, that we're going to hear about and discuss those sensible ideas like Mirror Reflection and MCB, and that, you know, we're going to have to dispel the other fears of different types of geoengineering. Yes, we can point out that there are those types of geoengineering, but people for their own common sense will see that these two are the most viable and least invasive. Like. But the point is that we need these people to come along, give us put the cards on the table, tell us where we stand, and tell us, yes, we have this option, our only option, but we need motivation behind it now. And with their own followings on their own websites alone, once they share them on their own, you know, their own YouTube channels and everything else, I think we can gather a lot of momentum as well then from MCB and Mirror Reflection, like, as well as Food Healers and everything else, and Collective Intelligence. But I do think that people just need to, unfortunately, at this stage, and I don't like to be the one to say it, like, but people need to get a kick in the arse now, like, because we gotta wake up, people. I mean, the film Don't Look Up wasn't there for a reason, and we gotta, you know, we have to look up now, like, pull our heads out of the sand and don't look away. We have to face what's coming, like, and we have to do something about it. Or, sorry, we're all going down the tube together. Sorry enough for being so depressing, but you know, that's just the way the situation is. We're gonna all have to ask ourselves some serious questions, like, are we really that stupid a species that we couldn't cooperate in order to save ourselves? Passing the feather.
See, for me, that was the intellectual and spiritual equivalent of Pele just cutting it up on the soccer field and winning the 1958 World Cup for Brazil for the first time, after they'd been humiliated a few years earlier. We've all been humiliated, right? We see our home burning and dying around us, and then out of the ashes emerges Pele, right? And you'd have to see the movie to see, you know, the internal struggles he went through. He almost quit when he was on the youth team of Santos. Almost quit. And so it's, you know, it's like that saying, it's always darkest before light. It's, you know, it's when you go past the point that it doesn't make any sense to go any further, but you go further anyway, right? That's when you finally win. So here we are. And Pele has busted out. So that 6.5 minute video is going on to the email, going into the email, along with 30-second intro, which is the thing I recorded earlier. It looks like we're recording now. I guess I never stopped recording, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, we've now been at it almost 10.5 hours. In an hour and 40 minutes, we've got the evening segment of Food Healers. I'm going to listen to James, let James have any last words, because now, James, you've seen that video 4 times, and we've all had an opportunity to reflect on it. And that was the missing piece. So again, we got the easy way, Food Healers, the hard way, Marine Cloud Brightening, and the spiritual way. Thank you, Dharmendra. Door number 1, number 2, number 3, take your pick. Ultimately, all of us need to go through all 3 doors. The planet needs to go through all 3 doors. I take that back, but only a little bit. The marine cloud brightening and even the spiritual, who's it for me to say that every single human being on the planet has to go through those doors and understand those? But I can say about door number 1, everybody has to go through door number 1. No koala left behind, no animal left behind. As long as one of our sisters or brothers are being slaughtered, we're not done. We're not done. Passing the feather. Love to hear from you, James. Since we're really, this is the moment when we pick up James, like at the end of the movie there, when everyone picked up Pele and paraded him around there in Sweden. So let's pick up James, but let's start with James. I'm going to give you the mic, and then I'm just going to fade away in a couple of minutes and go. I need to take a nap. I didn't sleep too much last night. Anyway, passing the feather.
Yeah, no bother. Thanks, Jim. And I know my camera's off, but you could probably see me blushing again from here because, like I said, I kind of sounds like I'm stuttering. To me, anyway, it sounds like I'm stuttering a lot and that. Like, but I know you get the gist of it. So, but if you're sending that with an email, I think we should, discuss the email so that we get give them a clear idea of what we're asking them to do. Like,
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, totally.
I'm not sure if they'll get it all from the video. I don't know myself, like, but we should, clearly describe a general email to each of them or something.
Yeah. And we kind of verbally drafted the email earlier today, but that's going to take some work to finally put it down. But it's pretty simple. Hey, here's the 30-second gist. We envision Guy, Ye, Peter and Stephen delivering this 30-second gist, which is basically an advertisement to watch a 60-minute video, which is encapsulated in the following 6.5 minutes, right?
Yeah. It shouldn't be too hard. If they're game to have the meeting, it shouldn't be too hard to get each of them to say that, those particular sentences each anyway to do that. And again, I still think if they agree to the meeting, as I said, when we record it, Stephanie can very much as well, like pick out key points, poignant statements that each of them made anyway over the course of their 4-minute speaking, and she can compile that into a short advertisement for it as well, like, you know what I mean? Because a bit more organic again, as I said, like sound more realistic.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. So let's do that, and let's get this email off to them as soon as possible. And then they'll talk with each other and say, what do you think? I'm tempted to put into that same email the ABC 1, 2, 3 that I was talking about earlier, where the message is the 1, 2, 3 of marine cloud brightening, a plan for getting it done, and then implementation. That 1, 2, 3. A similar 1, 2, 3 for food healers. And anyway, and then in terms of the media, we got the 30-second advertisement, the 60-second video, 60-minute video, and then C is what's next. Join the conversation, right? You, whoever you are, join the conversation. So ABC 1, 2, 3, message and media. And with that, this messenger is going to take a nap, and I'll be back in an hour and 35 minutes. Excited to see you all then. James, if you drift off to sleep, please go to sleep with a big ass smile on your face, knowing that we accomplished really great things today, including the food healers. Oh my goodness. Now we got food healers, marine cloud brightening, a relaunch of the spiritual, a really good touch base on the collective intelligence, and just weaving it all together. look at what we've accomplished today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was, as you said, it was much like the early days as well. Like it was that kind of a feel to it. It was good. There was a good flow to the whole day. Like so, I enjoyed it. Anyway, get your rest. If
All
I'm
right.
here, if I'm here after, I'm here after. If not, if I can't keep awake, I'll just bid fair night to or good night to people later.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Whatever you need to do, it's all good. You deserve the rest. And yeah, it was like the good old days. And now we know what we need to do, and we're doing it. So we're on our way. We're on our way. On our way home, on our way back to life and a whole world. A world that works, a world that lives, that thrives. An end to murder, an end to devastation, an end to extinction, other than the normal background rate, of course. And so on and so on and so on. So love you all. And thank you all so much for sticking it out for so many hours and making it happen. This is the critical mass. With you here, now it's perfect. Seriously. All right, Marco's host. You still there, Marco? Just checking in case I need to make somebody else host, which I'm happy to do if I need to. Show me a sign. Let me know you're here. You're pretty quiet when you're sitting there drinking beer. I need to know if you can host this. Okay, Christopher, you want to host?
Sure, I can do that for sure.
Okay, awesome. All right. So let me pass it to you.
Are you coming back later, Jamin?
Yeah, I'll be back in an hour and a half for the evening session of Food Healers, which starts in an hour and 33 minutes.
Rock and roll.
7 p.m. Pacific. So I'll be back. I'm just going to take a nap between now and then. All right. Much love. See you all then. Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Well, that was an amazing clip, James. I'd like to see that again.
Cheers, man. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. It just came out of me on the spur of the moment, I suppose.
It's like all the best inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Although Darmender, no fairness, like he put it very well tonight, I suppose. That's what, out of the way I was feeling, my shadow feelings, like the positivity that came out of it was my anger. I know the anger that came out of me, I suppose.
Was that the first time that he had been here, or he's been doing those sessions several times so far?
Well, Darmender used to be with us at the very start of the block parties.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, he was involved with Jamin before it was even called the block party, when they were doing the social club at the end of the world and all
Right,
that.
right.
Different names at the time, like.
The pre-original crew.
Yeah. Same.
What?
Yeah, there was a lot of them there. Dan Bader, no, was another one because Dan only started coming back recently, but he was one of the original guys. Because I remember watching those videos on YouTube myself before Jamin started doing the block party on YouTube live. So they've all been at it for a long time now, very honestly.
Right. When did Dharmendra come back?
Just today. Today's his first day back.
Oh, wow. Cool. Well, I hope he's going to be back every week, because that was potent.
Yeah, he's gonna be back. I believe he's gonna have that 2:30 slot available. So Jamin had invited him to come back on to, be back in the block party. So that's a good time, I think, for me, but I don't know for you guys. But I think we should try to keep them going. If we can't do it at that time, 2:30 Pacific time, I'm very open to other times as well. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I think it's a perfect time because it's only 4 hours later in Eastern time, and then another 4 hours for me, so it's perfect. It's in the, you know, mid-afternoon or mid-evening. So it kind of suits everyone. Very glad he's back, and I'm glad he's going to do those again. Because I remember when we kind of started on, only briefly, he was talking about the Gene Keys, and I ended up getting, well, Stephanie ended up buying the copy of the book for us. And I delved into it for a while, all right, but you know the way when you're on the block parties, then you get sidetracked as well. And Darmendra got very busy with his own work and everything else, and you know I had to take time out as other people did as well. So you get sidetracked then, and you put the book down and get consumed with something else. So I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, no, that was really cool to be part of the session, or at least the end. I guess I caught the end, the last little bit there.
Yeah, you'll enjoy the session. All right, definitely. So definitely be there for next week, man, if you can.
Well, the weather here, James, is as screwed up as anywhere else, man. I got here and the forest was on fire and a local town burned down. And then second week in November, there was such massive flooding that Vancouver was actually sort of an island for a few weeks. There were several highways out here that were completely shut down. And now it's snowing on top of snow, like apparently very unusual. So yeah, the weather's weird here.
Oh man, yeah, I get it. It's weird everywhere. I mean, even the Marshall fires there and everything there just last week there. And then a couple of hours later, it's such a tragedy as well. All those houses that burnt right down into the basements, and only hours later it snowed. It could have, you know, prevented the fires if it came a few hours earlier. It's terrible.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, man, terrible. And 35 tornadoes in one fucking night, devastating the place in Kentucky and everything. That was mental.
Wow, I didn't hear about that either. I've been out of the weather loop here.
Oh man, there was like 100 people taken out of a candle factory by the tornado and everything. There was 8 killed, I think. There might be more now, but I know that it was 8 count on the day.
Yeah, and that was what they didn't report a lot about was how many animals died in their, because that's a big farm country area there. So
Yeah,
there
yeah.
were millions and millions of chickens, live animals. And because one guy's like, oh, my 40 of my cows died. And they actually reported that, but they didn't talk about the millions of those chicken sheds that there are in Kentucky, in rural Kentucky. But it was just so tragic all the way around, because it's all this could be prevented with people waking the F up.
Yeah, I mean, if you see some of the YouTube videos of, you know, people catching it on the scene, on the ground on their phones and that, like, it was like